It's a good day when I got the Mo Salah shirt on. Let's fucking go, baby. The vibes are so high here in the Liverpool Latest studios. I, I cannot tell you how relieved I am. I went into this match fully doom and gloom, as you watched in the previous episode, if you were able to watch the previous episode. And I am very much pleasantly surprised by what I saw today on the pitch. Hence why I call this little section, We Won? We won! Very pleasantly surprised by the result of today's match, especially by the score. I did not expect us to score 4 goals. I expected us to score at least 1 or 2, but 4 was far more than I could have ever hoped for, considering that we haven't really scored much or many goals per match this season. So it's been very few and far between. It seems like most of the times we do score multiple goals like that is just happens to be in Champions League matches, especially ones that matter like this, because as we know, this was a win or go home game at Anfield, and we were not going to disappoint those fans 2 games in a row. We just couldn't. That would have been a horrible, horrible way to go. I could go into the whole stats. There's not really a whole lot to say. It was more or less a pretty dominating performance by Liverpool. I was not able to watch the match live. I did watch the highlights, and when the highlights are 99% focused on Liverpool, that goes to tell you what kind of game we were watching. I'm not going to sit here and say that this was a very Klopp-era game, but this was a game that I would expect them to have with the talent they have on the team. Everything was lining up for them. The chances were phenomenal. The goals were very well put together. Players who needed to step up, stepped up. Runs that were made were properly made. Players were not running straight into opposition and then giving away the ball. It was arguably perfect. It was probably the most perfect match we could have played this season. And considering that Gala has beaten us already in the Champions League twice, this was a nice little revenge game against them. This was exactly the game that we needed when it mattered the most, to prove that we are still a force to be reckoned with in the Champions League. Considering that we are one of the few Premier League teams left, I believe, because a few of the other ones, like I think Chelsea and Newcastle, got horribly decimated. So I think it's just us and Arsenal and maybe one other one I can't think of off the top of my head. But it seems like that is the case for this right now for the Premier League teams, is that they think there's like 2 left, if that. But I am just very relieved. I can sit here with a smile on my face and tell you that I have some hope, not only going into the next Premier League match this Saturday, but going into the next Champions League match against PSG. And I suggest that we all have that little glimmer of hope and hold it to our chests while we can, because Arne Slot's wet dream of a matchup is going to absolutely pummel the everlasting fuck out of us. This is not going to be a fun matchup. We are going to get absolutely decimated in the current form that we have been all season. So enjoy this little glimmer of happiness while it lasts, because it will not last forever. That's all I have to say. Just a couple of key points on some of the players today. Dominik Szoboszlai, man, he opened up the scoring. Goes to show why he is the absolute MVP of this team this season. If Dominik Szoboszlai is the MVP, like Hugo Ekitike is like a close second. Offensively, anyway. But it's without a shadow of a doubt that defensively and offensively, Dominik Szoboszlai has been our MVP. He has been our absolute saving grace, this team. I would fear what this team would look like this season if Dominik Szoboszlai has not performed the way that he has performed consistently, mind you, throughout the course of the year. When it matters the most, this guy will always step up. And I am still very much of the opinion that when Virgil van Dijk's time as a Liverpool captain comes to an end, whether it's through retirement or if he decides that he signs to a different club at the end of his contract, whatever that case may be, Dominik Szoboszlai is without a shadow of a doubt the guy to put that armband on. Hell, I read something on Twitter, and I'm not sure how true this is because I always take Twitter quotes with a grain of salt, depending if I trust the account posting it or not. But it seems as though Steven Gerrard also agrees with a lot of us who feel this way. Steven Gerrard said something along the lines, apparently, that he believes that he is a future captain, being Dominik Szoboszlai. So if Steven Gerrard is giving us that, or giving Dominik that honor, I think it's just it's only a matter of time before the actual club bestows him that honor. So, very great set-piece goal to open up the scoring, which at that point tied the aggregate. Super, super stoked. Dominik Szoboszlai actually got man of the match today, and I think it was a very close head-to-head between him and Mo Salah. I really believe that Mo Salah may have made an argument to be man of the match in some capacity. And I say that because the opportunities I was seeing Mo get today were what I would expect of him for these last several years of me watching this team. This was the Mo Salah I loved. Whatever the fuck's been going on with him this season, whether we want to use the grief excuse of Diogo Jota, I hate to call it an excuse, but all of these could be an excuse, whether it's age, whether it's politics within the club with him and Slot and that whole spiel that happened before the beginning of the new year. Whatever the fuck is going on with him. He may not be perfect, as it was evident today by that awful penalty attempt. That was not a Mo Salah penalty. Without a shadow of a doubt, that was one of the most piss-poor excuses for a Mo Salah penalty I have witnessed as a fan of this team so far. But what we all may ignore is the fact that before Mo even scored the match, he had 2 assists already under his belt. So he was already on the score sheet in some way, shape, and form. The first one was to Ekitike's 51-minute goal, and then shortly thereafter, Gravenberch's 53rd-minute goal. So right away, he's already got 2 very solid assists right there. And then in the 62nd minute is when he finally had scored his goal. After numerous attempts throughout the course of the game. Many of which were very good attempts, like I said. The keeper for Gala, I don't know his name, I gotta look this up really quick. The keeper for Gala, Shakir? Something? Shakir? I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce his name, it's Turkish. He did a really solid, for as much as he let go past him, he did a very solid job blocking a lot of the shots that Liverpool were putting onto him. His team let him down. I am firmly in the belief that the Gala team around the keeper let him down. He did everything he could to stop those goals. He stopped some solid rockets, man. A lot of them, or at least roughly half of them, were coming from either Salah or Ekitike. Just absolute ridiculous shots he was blocking. And thankfully, Mo did get one through. When I was reading the Twitter and seeing, as I was working, I was watching the Twitter feed, and when I saw that Mo had missed the penalty before halftime, I was like, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me, man. This is it. He's cooked. My king, my beloved king, is he's cooked. He's gone. He's done for. Then he scores in the 62nd minute, on top of all the other attempts he had. So then I'm like, okay, we have never been more back. I went from being down in the dumps to being absolute Glazer level 9,000. Again. Because I love that man. I love that man. I will support that man wherever he goes after his time with Liverpool is done. You cannot tell me otherwise. And probably the most, and I don't want to say the most important, but it's one, to me it's important, and that is Arne Slot. One of my biggest critiques of Arne Slot this entire season, and I may not have talked about it on Liverpool Latest specifically, but I have thought about it quite a bit, and that is the fact that Arne Slot is a very stoic figure. He's Dutch. He doesn't show much emotion. He's very stoic, very, I guess, bland, for lack of better term. Doesn't want to show his cards or wear his heart on his sleeve. He's not like a Klopp, and nor did I really ever expected him to be Klopp. But what I do want him to have is a little bit more passion for the game. Sometimes I think when things are going either bad or good, there's no indication on his face, really, of like, okay, this is it. Let's fucking go. This match, he showed some emotion. There were some calls that weren't going our way. I saw some replays of it on Twitter. I have never seen that man move so much on the sideline in the manager's box in my life. I have never seen that man show that much emotion since we won the Premier League title last year. He has been a very stoic, bland, I will go as far as to say arrogant figure for us, who are absolute haters of the man. But I will not take this game away from him today. It seems as though every time that his job is on the line, Liverpool finds some way to keep him employed just a little bit longer. And today was one of those days. And I may want him gone more than as much as the next person, the next Red fan, but he did put on a pretty solid masterclass today. And I think probably the biggest coaching call he made, which was one, the formation, because clearly the formation was great. Everybody needed to be where they needed to be as far as players go. I think that's why we flowed so well. But most importantly, Gakpo didn't play this match. I don't even think he even stepped onto the field. Okay, he did step onto the field. I don't know when, but he did. He was a sub at some point in the match. But he didn't start, and for a majority of the game, he did not play. And I think that is a very telling sign of how we play with Gakpo starting, as opposed to Gakpo coming off the bench. That is what I need from this team going forward. This lineup of, Alisson, Frimpong, Konate, Van Dijk, Kirkes, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, McAllister, Salah, Ekitike, Wirtz. That is what I've wanted this whole fucking time. I don't want this bullshit of putting Gakpo in front or putting Gakpo on the left wing where he doesn't fucking do anything. All I want is fluid offense. And all I have seen from Gakpo is just awful attempts at trying to make a push or a press for a goal. There's a reason why he hasn't done very well this season. I'm not sure what the disconnect between what happened last year or years prior under Klopp going into Slot and what has happened this year, but something's just fucking off with the guy. And it's driving me nuts, but I think Slot made a very good call today not playing him for as long as he usually does. He finally decided to bench his son when it fucking mattered the most because he probably realizes Gakpo is a weak link in the front. There was no doubt about that. I'm sure he's a great guy, Cody Gakpo, but as a footballer, I have never been more agonized to see somebody play on the field than I am watching Cody Gakpo in the 2025-2026 season. That said, now that the Cody Gakpo rant is over, this is what I want to see from Arne Slot. I want him to show passion. I want him to show emotion. I want him to show to the fans that he cares about what's going on the field. Instead of standing there with his arms crossed like a fucking bald douchebag, a fucking dildo. Look, I want him to do this. I want him to yell at the refs. I want him to question what the fuck is going on or what people are doing on the field. I want him to be upset or happy. I want him to do stuff. There's a reason why I respect other managers in the Premier League specifically who show emotion when their team especially does well against us, because clearly they don't expect it. And when it happens, it's like, oh my God, it's the happiest day of their lives. That's what I want from Arne Slot going forward. I want him to show the players on the field and the fans in the stands that he gives a fuck about what he's doing on that field. And that is all I have to say for Liverpool Latest today. Thank you for joining me. Please feel free to leave a like or a rating somewhere on the show, wherever you choose to watch or listen. Leave a comment giving me your thoughts about the match as well. I certainly would love to hear them. Most importantly, please subscribe or follow the show. Share it with your friends who are fellow Liverpool fans. Let's get Liverpool Latest somewhere. Let's do something with this brand. I love giving you this show every week. I love being a part of the Fan Arch team who has been more than gracious enough to stick by me as I've been doing these videos. So, with your support, we can do very big things here for Liverpool Latest and the brand. So, as always, join the Liverpool Latest family, because when you do, know that you, my friend, will never walk alone. Up the fucking Reds. On to the next one.